The Harvard MBA leadership focused essay is what experiences have shaped who you are, how you invest in others, and what kind of leader you want to become. So, this is a 250-word essay. To answer the Harvard MBA leadership focused essay, I explore three contexts. So, let's start with the first context: experiences that shape who you are. The obvious factor is the family. I'm certain the Harvard MBA admissions team don't have the bandwidth to read between the lines, but as a consultant, I notice the applicants' adaptability to life stressors by evaluating the narratives and the relationship they describe with the authority figure. No one has perfect dynamics with their parents. You don't have to be self conscious while writing about your upbringing, the stressors in early life, and their impact on how you see the world. But remember that most people fall between the two extremes: sensitive care or conditional attachment. So let's start with sensitive care. Eastern cultures make fun of American parents negotiating with children, but psychologically, it has been proven to develop adults who see the world with optimism and respect others' autonomy. The second kind of care that you might have received is through conditional attachment. So it takes two forms. The first, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps mindset, where the individual is detached from the support of the society and is fighting against the world. The individualized narrative is easy to spot. There won't be any credit or acknowledgement of the support network in the essay. It's all about me against the world. Although these profiles are accomplished in finance or technology, where often such individualized personalities are rewarded, when writing essays, such narratives come across as lacking emotional intelligence. The second are applicants who need constant attention and acknowledgement from peers to compensate the lack of attention they receive from the family's authority figure. Such attention seeking leads to initiatives and milestones that are important for Harvard MBA application. Life stressors and lack of sufficient attention from the authority figure can lead to individuals who are eager to do more for their communities and peers, in turn making them a highly sought after group for Harvard and M7 MBA programs. I had received this question several times while guiding applicants to write better narratives. I'm accomplished, but I don't have any setbacks to write for Harvard MBA essays. I discourage applicants from creating inauthentic family narratives, but it doesn't mean you have nothing to write. Family is just one dynamic in the essay. You should explore the social environment, education, and cultural background. So the second aspect is social environment. A social environment includes the neighborhood, social groups you identify most with, that is arts, sports, majors, hobbies, and the organizations you volunteered. If you want to see how I have captured routine experiences into leadership narratives, download FNGMAT's Harvard MBA Essay Guide from store.fngmat.com/Harvard-MBA-essay-guide. So what comes under social environment? So the first thing that comes to a social environment is neighborhood. Another aspect of social environment is shared identity. An underrepresented minority can relate to another underrepresented minority. I've read the narrative of an LGBTQ applicant from Asia volunteering for causes of women beneficiaries. A parent's interest in conservationism encouraged an applicant to document all varieties of butterflies into one of the most historically important websites on butterflies. So there are multiple ways in which social environment can be included in the leadership story without any trauma narrative. If an applicant had a healthy dynamics with their parents, the causes of the caregiver becomes dear to them. I have read how parents' teaching career influence applicants' interest in Teach for America. The third part of the experiences that shape who you are is through education. Education is another subset of experiences that shape who you are. The paucity affectation associated with top universities is from the assumed holistic education each school offers. If the brand of the school was the only criteria, Harvard Business School would be filled with candidates from top universities. Interestingly, the diversity in schools and universities is much higher at Harvard than any other category on which an applicant is evaluated. The pedigree of the university alone is not a satisfactory condition to improve admission chances at Harvard. The extracurricular engagement and volunteering become two critical evaluations of your evolution as a leader. When you cite experiences, understand under which identity you'll be classified based on first impression. Then work backward to supplement your positive attributes and break negative stereotypes with complementary stories. One applicant narrated her passion for popularizing Special Olympics by connecting her relationship with a younger sibling who was wheelchair bound after a traumatic accident. If the admissions team had just evaluated her for her high performing career as an energy candidate, there would have been other equally qualified women applicants in the competition. She could have easily used initiatives on promoting women leaders in the industry, but she chose a cause that was dear to her, while her growth and curiosity narrative were all on increasing representation of women engineers and leaders in her industry. The theme of the question need not be matched neatly based on the most expected experience. Choose examples based on your strengths, weaknesses, and unique life experiences. For essay examples, download FNGMAT's Harvard MBA Essay Guide or Winning MBA Essay Guide that also includes Harvard MBA Essay examples. The fourth factor that shapes who you are is cultural background. For applicants with strong social and cultural identities, including examples that are closest to their identity would be the best way to authentically capture your leadership experiences. Among the many contributing factors to your cultural background, three stands out. First is country or city. This is perhaps the biggest indicator of whether you'd make it to Harvard if you're an international applicant. If the leadership narrative is closely tied to the culture of the region, and an MBA from Harvard is unlikely to add to the network, learning framework, or skills to solve the problem, no matter how persuasively you have captured the experience, it won't resonate with the admissions team. Your experience should have similarity to what the US has overcome within the past decade, or the problem should have keen interest among the political or investor communities in the US. Climate change is one universal problem. Security of digital infrastructure is another. Managing inflation without affecting growth is another. If your leadership is in one niche, let's say addressing climate change, make it the core narrative, even if all your experiences are tied to a non US country. Then there are problems that cut across cultures. One applicant wrote about the lack of regulation in the real estate industry and how it adds to the carbon footprint in a harmful way. As a reader, I was rewarded when the applicant made a correlation between an incentive and a government policy. It cuts across cultures. The second aspect of the cultural experience is how you are leveraging your personality trait for a functional solution. For an extroverted applicant, the template for the weekly meeting felt impersonal. No one was truly sharing the challenges they were facing or receiving ideas from peers. It was just an update on the tasks that a workflow or an email could have solved. When the applicant introduced a communication framework for the weekly meeting, it first solved the problem by forcing the participants to share the why, what, and how. Then it became a platform for sharing larger cultural issues many international peers were facing in the city. And finally, the meeting became a critical platform for building camaraderie. So the applicant's personality trait as an extroverted individual were transmitted into a team or a culture. The third part of the cultural background is through identity. If you are, let's say, from an underrepresented minority in the US, starting a club in your organization or a forum for addressing the concerns of the group, or introducing cuisines or cultural artifacts from your identity into the company culture will be looked at as your efforts into making the company culturally inclusive. The identity need not be all related to ethnicity or sexual orientation. It could also be around gender, nationality, personality traits, or even talent. If you're part of a largely represented identity at Harvard, avoid using your identity in the leadership narrative. Focus on functional or volunteering or personality trait or extracurricular leadership.